Remember, we're gonna have good years and bad years. We're gonna have good months and bad months, good days and bad days. But you're in this for a reason. You've come this far, keep going.
Hi, welcome to the Realtors Conspiracy Podcast. I'm here today with Steve Volf. Steve, you've been a realtor for many years.
7 years coming up, March 15th, actually. Yeah, I know that because last year I had to do my RICO update courses, so you never forget that, right? So, yeah.
Cool. And then, what was your background? Tell us about your career.
Before getting into real estate, I actually went to school for architectural technology and then went to McMaster University and got my degree in civil engineering.
Okay.
So then I started a company called Space Planning Solutions. So we did lots of interior fit-ups for big commercial properties. And at that point, I realized I started negotiating for a lot of the tenant leasehold improvement dollars and even their leases on their behalf. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I like this. So when I was 23, I bought my first rental property, a duplex as well too.
Okay.
Became friends with the realtor. We started chatting and, I was kind of going one way with my business and kept an eye on what he was doing, was always interested. And eventually I was like, you know what, I'm going to give it a go, and transitioned out of the, engineering, construction, design, and went over to real estate.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, it works really good. Kind of hand in hand sometimes, yeah.
So what do you love about real estate? What's your favorite thing?
Favorite thing? It's different every day.
Okay,
It's always something new. It's exciting. I mean, you have a lot of challenges, ups and downs. Nothing's ever the same. One day you might be having coffee with a client, the next you're calling, the next you're showing. Even day by day or hour by hour, it's something different. So it's exciting, it's unique, and being able to help people find a home is a great feeling too. Yeah.
And the gratitude when
absolutely, that's it. And it's nice, you'll find them something, and they'll start doing some renos, and maybe 6 months down the road, I'll get a photo of something like, hey, look what we did. So the genuine excitement of them having a home base, security, it's just great to be able to be involved in that process the whole way through.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So tell me about your career. What did you do that made you successful? What's the one thing that you feel really helped you?
I think when I first started out, one of the best things was I was with a small boutique brokerage, and I was fortunate enough to have a lot of duty shifts there. So I would take those, the Saturday morning ones, and take as many open houses as I could just to get in front of people. And that's where I initially built my sphere of influence, my database, and pretty much what I work off of today was a lot of those people. And based off of that was referral business. So I do think that was one thing. And then I think my follow-up too, and also I find with a lot of my clients, I maybe don't have a massive database, but they're great. A lot of them have become almost like family.
You'll do 3, 4, 5.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like the one we were just talking about, one of the families. I mean, I've done 7, 8 transactions in the last 2 years with the same family, so it's really good. It's developing that relationship and the trust with them for sure.
Very good.
Yeah.
We talk about your day between being different all the time. What's your typical day look like?
Coffee first. Okay. Otherwise, you don't want to talk to me before that. So that's the first thing. Usually I hop on the computer, and anything that I had from the previous night, at some point I just kind of turn my brain off, turn the emails off, and go, okay, it's this point I'm going to watch a little TV, or I'm going to read a book and get to bed at a good time, right? Yeah. So anything that I have left over from the evening before, I usually go through that and then start looking at, okay, what have I written down for my day? Who am I contacting today? Do I have a coffee set up with somebody, which I do quite frequently. It's one of my favorite ways to kind of stay in touch with my clients is face-to-face, have a coffee and meet them for lunch and chat. Or pop by the house and see how they're doing, especially if they've just had a little one, pop by with a gift or something and go see them.
So you keep track of all of those?
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. Cool. Send out cards when they've had little ones and stuff like that, or house anniversaries, anything like that. Yeah. And that's mostly what I'll do. Then I'll head into the office, start my calls, anything I have to do that day, emails, and then book appointments. Usually I'm doing evening showings a lot of times, so you're working obviously after people's 9 to 5. Do that. Usually try and take a little pause somewhere in the afternoon to go to the gym, so try and have like a 45-minute or hour for myself and have something to eat and then continue on. Evenings are, maybe dinner, settle down after showings and everything like that too, and then, start it again the next day. That's about it, yeah.
So you seem to still have a structure, even though it's a little bit chaotic to be in the business.
It is, you can't really, you can plan, you can schedule. I always have a spiral bound notebook on my desk and on the kitchen table, and it's like a brain dump for me. And it's great. So I put in my schedules and what I need to do. A lot of it goes into my phone. But something comes up, all of a sudden it's, I get a call in the afternoon from someone, I have to see this property right now. Maybe they're on a property search and it just hit them and they're like, I'm leaving work or I'm off work today. And so it throws a little, I wouldn't say wrench, a little, kink in the plan, right? Yeah. And you work around it, that's it, right? You become flexible in this business, and if you've got something time blocked for then that you can't make, you say, hey, listen, I'll see you, give me 2 hours and then we can meet over there and get in. So, Cool.
So you started from a small boutique real estate, now you're with Royal Lepage.
Yes.
What would you say would be challenges that you faced from the beginning to today that you overcame?
I would say lead generation's a big one. Follow-up's a big one too. For a long time, I didn't have any sort of a database or CRM. I feel like I, maybe didn't learn that way, and they weren't so prevalent when I first started. So, so I didn't have something like that. I knew where all my clients were, and I had numbers in this. Or
napkins posted.
Always, the desk was scrap pieces of paper all the time, and I knew, who was there and who was kind of looking, but you forget when it starts growing more. You can hold on to only so much. So when I found, using a CRM and actually taking that in the inventory and putting it in there helped me organize it. So that was a big thing for a long time. I felt I would miss clients because I didn't have everything organized or structured properly too. So that was a big thing, was getting structured, getting organized. I think those were some of my biggest challenges. And just putting in some systems these days to help me stay accountable and structured, whether that's keeping in touch with other realtors that I know that are working individually as well and saying, hey, we'll text each other in the morning sometimes, hey, what are you doing now? Have you done this day? And it's really good to help each other and stay accountable. But I think accountability as well as structure and systems have been something that I have struggled with, that I have definitely found over the years, especially the last, I'd say, year or two, that I'm putting more into place, and it's helping me grow.
That's amazing. That's great. That's a huge win.
Yeah, definitely, right?
Tell us about the best advice you would have got from a realtor or a business partner or someone.
Best advice. Oh, it's a tough one. It is a tough one. I've had lots of good advice and lots of good realtors over the years. I try and schedule lunches with a lot of the, team leads or, bigger guys that I've watched over the years. And they're really helpful with a lot of things. But the big thing is, staying in contact with your sphere of influence, especially those people. And the big one too, I think, is asking for referrals. I know for a long time I didn't do that for whatever reason. You think you've sold somebody something before, that they're always going to think about you or always refer you, but that's not necessarily always the case. So being present, being in front of them, having a good brand, thanks to you, of course, something recognizable, and also asking for referrals. It's definitely.
Did you feel you had like a little bit out of your comfort zone to ask for referrals?
100%, yeah.
How did you overcome that? How did you say?
I found a good way of saying it. You know what I mean? Like with different people, everyone has a different personality. So I might approach somebody differently than I would another client, right? And so maybe with some of them, you're more comfortable and say, hey, if you have anybody, do you mind referring me? With somebody else, you might need to lead into it a little bit more softly. Yeah, exactly. So, but just getting out there and doing it and pushing yourself out of the comfort zone.
So I think we all struggle with that. We all
absolutely, right? It's a pretty brazen business, right? And a lot of people do, a lot to get business. And it is sometimes, if you weren't kind of wired that way, it is tough to get out of your comfort zone, but it's something you have to do in order to grow. Yeah.
You say you talk to other realtors to cheer each other up and keep each other accountable. What would you say to a realtor who's thinking about quitting, who's like, I can't do this anymore? What's your advice there?
I think we've all been there at some point, right? You're having a bad month or bad couple of months, and it's like, wow, how do I get back on track and everything like that? You just got to remember, I remember a realtor, I did a deal with her a couple of years back, and she's been in the business 40 years. And she said, Steve, you can make 60 grand one year and 300,000 the next. And that always stuck with me because it just outlines the ebbs and flows of the industry. And so we kind of, any of the realtors that I chat with on a daily basis, especially, like I said, individual realtors that aren't backed necessarily by a team, I kind of say that a lot and remind them, remember, we're going to have good years and bad years. We're going to have good months and bad months, good days and bad days. Yeah. But you're in this for a reason. You've come this far. Keep going, right? And if you need to take a day or two, that's okay, right? Yeah. Everyone needs it.
It's always a curve.
That's it. It's an ebbs and flow kind of industry, right? And I mean, you always have a slower time, maybe around the holidays, December, January. I think a lot of businesses are like that, not even just real estate, right?
We are too.
Exactly, right? And construction industry, I know, was like that as well too. So it maybe takes people some time to get bounce back after the holidays. So we have these conversations now more, and then I'll chat with them in the spring. People that were like, oh, I got to get out of this business. They're like, oh, I'm so busy. And I said, see, every year you're like this, and it's okay though. You always bounce back. If you've been in it for 5 years plus, I think you're in it at that point. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What are you excited about? What's in the future for you and your business?
Looking for growth. I did enough transactions on my own last year that it might be time for an admin.
Okay. Cool. Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah. So, like we discussed too, I definitely, need to get a little bit more social media presence. So that's something I've been working on as well too, whether it be the testimonial thing we were just discussing, get a little bit more involved with Instagram, Facebook, any of my social media, stuff like this. Yeah. So it's, and just, exactly. Just being out there. So that's one thing I really want to do is just try and be a little bit more structured and systemized, and I feel like I am doing that. And so far, by doing that, I have noticed a bit of incremental growth, which is nice. And now, I can focus on one or two other things like the social media aspect, which I did do a lot more last year, and I noticed people actually recognizing my brand and stuff. So it was stuff like that I just need to stay on and definitely help me grow. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. Thanks for sharing all of this.
Absolutely.
That's do you have any contact info? Where do we find
Absolutely. You? So Steve Volf at royallepage.ca is the easiest way to get a hold of me. You can find me on Instagram at Steve_Volf_realtor or Facebook at Volf Realty Advisors.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Maude.
Thank you. Thanks
Absolutely.
For